Yes, people, welcome back to Let's Talk Premier League. We're here for another match preview. And this time, Argyle are facing another away trip. Obviously, we went away to Sheffield Wednesday in the FA Cup. Well, guess what? We're on the travels again. This time, we are facing the mighty Accrington Stanley. And in today's stream, we're going to have a look at our opponents. I'm going to give some of my thoughts on who I think will start for us. We're going to have a look at the potential lineup for Accrington Stanley. I've also gone and done a bit of history, so we've got a bit of history as well because this fixture has had a little bit of history in it. So we've got a lot to get into, so we're going to go through all of that. Got some interesting stats as well. So let's get straight into it. Let's not waste any time, shall we? Let's just get into it. It seems like a good shout to me. So, obviously, Accrington versus Argyle away from home. And the first thing I want to have a look at is I want to have a look at the manager. Now, the manager of Accrington Stanley is John Coleman. He has been in his current job. He's had 2 stints at Accrington for 7 years. He has spent a total of 19 and a half years at Accrington Stanley. Now, ever if there was a man that symbolizes Accrington Stanley, John Coleman is that man. John Coleman is Mr. Accrington. He has been there for 19 and a half years over his 2 stints. Now, in his 2 stints, he's won 4 titles. One of which was SkyBet League 2. He's won a conference and a conference title. He's won a few Northern Premier titles, I think. I think that's what they're called anyway. But he doesn't just stop there because he's also got some huge personal achievements as well in terms of 4 SkyBet League 2 and 1 League 1 Manager of the Month awards. And he won SkyBet League 2 Manager of the Year. Coleman is a very, very experienced man. And you would have probably seen one of his gifts, which is, I'm slowly falling out of love with football. Yes, Coleman has given us a few good interviews. And he's likable. I do quite like Coleman. But let's just hope that he doesn't quite get all the points he needs at the weekend. And whilst we're on the topic of managers, the dreaded Manager of the Month award was handed out today. Now, we all knew yesterday that Ryan Lowe had won it. Well, guess what? Yeah, it was officially announced. Ryan Lowe has won Manager of the Month for October. Yeah, shoot me now. I was a lot more optimistic about this game. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it now because Manager of the Month curse hasn't necessarily gone too well for the 2 current managers that have had it, which was Sunderland and MK Dons. Neither team really went on a good period. So, yeah, that'll be fun. Stupid EFL. But as I say, let's talk a little bit more about Accrington Stanley, shall we? So the next thing to look at is their ground. They play at the Crown Ground. There is a capacity of 5,450. 3,100 of them are seated. Now, I've never been to the Crown Ground, but I'm pretty sure the away end does not get the luxury of seats. I'm pretty sure we're putting terraces, or a terrace. You know what I mean. But from the outside, it does look quite good. And when I say from the outside, from that particular image, it does genuinely look all right. It's one of these unique sort of lower league sort of grounds. It does look lovely, and I like the bit. And I'm not about to get into a whole, lesson on stadiums. But I do love the houses on top. I love the house, like where you can see the top of the houses over that stand, and then above that you got the hills. I love seeing all of that. It looks beautiful. Like in terms of seeing beyond it, the sights you see after the stadium, it does look beautiful. Now, nothing beats home park. Let's be real. But it doesn't look a bad one. And luckily, we're not playing there in the middle of February because it was frozen last time. I think I remember. It was definitely I remember definitely seeing bloody knees. And when I say bloody knees, I mean the red stuff that comes out of your body. Um, but you know, um, yeah, the stadium looks decent. It does look decent-ish. I mean, I wouldn't like Argyle to have one of them because, you know, it is a small stadium, but small and quirky. Donny also lost there, by the way. Now, this fixture has had its fair share of history, and I say that because Derek Adams was sacked immediately after a humiliating 5-1 loss to Accrington Stanley. He was also sacked by with Paul Wotton. Now, the reason this is more memorable is because the game after we faced Scunthorpe. At Home Park, it was the final game of the season. Argyle won, but that would not be enough to keep them in SkyBet League One, and was subsequent. Can't get my teeth in, which basically meant that Argyle were relegated to League Two. A dark day. I mean, a dark day on top of the other many dark days that we had in our last 10 years, or 12, something like that. It's been a long 10 years. But yeah, that was just another dark day added on top. And the reason that I will remember Accrington Stanley away is because, oh boy, the away end erupted. And I don't mean cheering Derek Adams off the pitch. I mean, we've got to remember this was after a season of Derek Adams calling fans yobs, after, you know, many things he said. And ultimately it came to a head, and the fans had more than enough of his gobby mouth spouting more and more shit. So they sort of took a stance and was like, nah, we're not having this anymore. We want you gone. And Simon Hallett did, you know, pull the trigger. I've always questioned if it was too late. And you know what? Simon has done an awful lot for the club, and I'll be eternally grateful to Simon Hallett for everything he's done. The new grandstand, the investment into Home Park, the investment into the playing staff, the coaching team, everything he has done. He's got so many W's, so many wins. This one, I think, was one of his rare losses. I think we could all see the writing was on the wall for many games before this. And I've always said that I do feel that this was ultimately his biggest mistake, which is letting Derek Adams keep his job for a little bit longer. I don't think Simon never wanted to get rid of Derek Adams, which I can understand because he had never got rid of a manager. Obviously, he had taken over. I can't remember the exact time, but I know he definitely didn't hire Derek. Or if he did, he was only on the board. He wasn't a full owner. And if he was a full owner, it's his first ever manager that he's hired. So the dates do get foggy in my head. But this was one of the rare losses for Simon, which was letting that man keep his job. And ultimately, as I say, back to League Two we went. Obviously, we picked up one of the best managers we've had. Well, probably in my lifetime that I've been able to understand football. Obviously, Neil Warnock and all of these other people are absolute legends. But I really wasn't old enough to really understand what Neil Warnock was doing. I think I was like 7. Yeah, I barely remember what I had for dinner last night, let alone, you know, what happened when I was 7. But yeah, this was one of, as I said, Simon's rare losses. And it was Derek Adams that lost his job with Paul Wotton. The last time we met Accrington, let's try and get a bit more cheerful. Jesus, bet you weren't thinking you'd come across that today. But the last time we met Accrington, we faced them at the Wham Stadium, as it was called last season. And we won 1-0. Now, Ennis scored the goal for Argyle to take 3 crucial away points, which would lead us to safety. And when I say lead us to safety, at that point, we weren't really expecting a relegation battle. If the season carried on for a few more months, Yeah, we would have definitely been in one. That probably more to our shoddy defending, which actually goes to say a lot about this Accrington team last season, which meant that we kept a clean sheet. Yeah, Accrington mustn't have been that good if we're keeping clean sheets against them. Not with last season's defense. This season's defense, completely different beast. How do we both stand in the table? Well, Argyle are currently second, a point behind Wigan, and could go top if we win at the weekend because Wigan are not playing international call-ups. Accrington sit 12th, a win for them. Now, I'm not sure what other teams are playing, but let's say no other team was playing in the league. They could jump as high as 9th. Now, 9th wouldn't be enough to get them promotion. I'm not really sure what Argyle's league table looks like, but we do know that currently Argyle and Wigan are in the automatic promotions. Rotherham, Wycombe, Sunderland, and Oxford are in the automatic in the playoffs. MK Dons, Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich, and all of that lot are staying there. So they would be 9th, which for Accrington, they normally do plod along and they normally do all right. Right? They normally do okay. They've had an average start for Accrington, but no one expects them to be world beaters. And if you do, I would hush those thoughts quite quickly because Accrington are not world beaters, but they're a good team and they ought to be respected. And I'm sure Ryan Lowe absolutely will give them the respect they deserve. Now, let's have a little look at their last 5 fixtures, shall we? So they faced Port Vale in the FA Cup and they lost 5-1. An absolute battering. Now, I will admit, 4 of Port Vale's goals came after a red card, as did Accrington's goal. So, you know, there is context to this. But yeah, Accrington unceremoniously dumped out of the FA Cup by Port Vale. That was just after a 0-0 goalless draw against Steve Evans Gillingham. Accrington then also got a second draw with Pompey, which was 2-2. Before that, they got a win against Charlton with a 3-2 win at the Valley. And then before that, they got a goal. No, they didn't get a goal. They conceded a goal to Cheltenham, which lost them all 3 points and ultimately lost them that game. So there's been a few interesting results out there. The Charlton one stands out for me. But the other thing that stands out to me is their defence does not resemble something that I would class as decent. Now, 5 against Port Vale, admittedly 4 of them after a red card, 2 against Pompey, 2 against Charlton, 1 against Cheltenham. It's 5 goals in their last 4 games, if my maths are correct, which I think it is. That's 4 games in the league. If we were to add the FA Cup, that's 10 goals in their last 5 games. That's 2 goals per game. You know, that is brutal. That is brutal. Let's just hope that they continue to have that sort of defensive shape about them this year. To this game, I wish them all the best in the year, but in this game, because ultimately it means Argyle have got a fairly good chance of winning. But let's have a little further dig deep into Accrington. And let's look at their top goal scorers, shall we? Harry Pell leads them with 5 goals. He is closely followed by Matt Butcher and Colby Bishop. So, you know, they've got a few goals in them. Harry Pell is probably one we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on, as is Matt Butcher and Colby Bishop. So we need to keep an eye on all 3 of those. But how do they compare with their assists? Well, their assists aren't too great. The reason I say that is Sean McConville has got 5 assists. Then it drops down to Harry Pell with only 2 and Matt Butcher with a further 1. They're not getting many assists from around their team. And ultimately, that means that you're going to be a bit more predictable because Argyle, looking at this, if we can get Sean McConville out of the game, that's pretty much their chance creation gone. Because no one else is getting the assists. If you're lucky, Harry Pell will turn up on the odd occasion and chuck you an assist, and Matt Butcher with his 1. If you're lucky, he'll turn up once and do it in 14 games or 16 games, however many we've played. So not many assists from them. So, you know, Sean McConville is one we're going to have to look after. But if we can look after him in such a way that we keep him out of the game, I really don't see how Accrington create too many chances on Cooper's goal. But let's just compare that to how Argyle sit. Now, Argyle are completely different. 10 goals from Ryan Hardy so far, already into double figures. Luke Jeffcott, only 4 goals behind with 6, and Connor Grant sitting there on a lovely 4 goals. Ryan Broom is in and around there as well, but the difference between this is insane. The difference of the level of team, the quality of player, completely different. Ryan Hardy, Luke Jeffcott, Connor Grant, absolutely smashing it. The fact is that only Connor Grant is below Harry Pell, which is Accrington's top goal scorer. Luke Jeffcott and Hardy are both ahead of him. Hardy doubling the amount of goals. But the interesting thing is to look at the assists as well. And the reason I say look is because if Hardy doesn't create the assist, Jeffcott might, Broom might, Connor Grant might, heck, even Mike Cooper's got an assist in him. So, you know, we get assists from a variety of places. Hardy, Jeffcott, Broom, Kamara is also up there. So we're getting assists from all sorts of angles, and ultimately that could be quite key. But it's going to be an interesting game. Obviously, Jeffcott is on international duty, so Jeffers won't be there with us. But I will give my predicted lineup for Argyle in just a second. Let's put me on there, because let's move over to here. Now, let's look at Accrington first. The Accrington lineup is an odd one. It could go one of many ways, really. It could go to this lineup, which is the 3-5-2, or they've started messing around and doing different formations, not all of them successful. I think they've tried a different formation to this and conceded like 9 goals in 2 games. I can't see John Coleman willing himself to go back to that. Now, the player names you will see may not be the team, the players he picks, obviously, because I don't see a Pell there. And with top goal scorer, you're probably thinking he'll be in there. But these are the players that have featured the most in these in this formation. So you've got Trafford in goals, Sykes, Nottingham, Shering as the 3 centre-backs. Obviously, 3 at the back, very similar to Plymouth Argyle. O'Sullivan right wing back with McConville on the left side. So Joe Edwards is going to have a very busy day, and he's going to need to be on top form. He's going to need to be on top form. Butcher, Connelly, and Hamilton as the 3 central midfielders. Then Bishop and Mansell up top. Now, as I say, changes will happen because I cannot imagine John Coleman leaving out Harry Pell, which has been their top goal scorer, and he's also chucked a few assists. So I can't see him doing that. So I do fully expect some changes to the Accrington lineup. Now, how do I think that Plymouth Argyle will line up? Well, we've got a few absentees. So I'll go through a team on what I think Ryan Lowe will pick on Saturday, which is, of course, Mike Cooper between the sticks, with a back 3 of James Wilson, Dansgaard and Macaulay Gillespie. Obviously, there is no real other centre-back to put in there, unless we wanted to do a madness and chuck Connor Grant there, because I'm presuming versatility is his middle name. But I think he'll go Gillespie, showcase what he can do for the next couple of games, whilst Galloway is on international duty with Zimbabwe. Let's go for the right wing back, which I think will be Joe Edwards, barring any injuries that is happening in training today, or illness or what. I fully expect Joe Edwards to play and start right wing back, and again, obviously, I fully expect Connor Grant to be on the left side of that as well. I expect Jordan Houghton to still be in the squad or in the team starting 11. Although if he drops any more stinkers like he did against Sheffield Wednesday, of the way that Randall turned up against Ipswich, wouldn't be surprised if there's conversations I'd go and, would you like to sit on the bench? He's been amazing. Don't get me wrong. Jordan Houghton has been incredible, but no one's place is safe apart from Hardy. And even Ryan Lowe on last weekend proved that that's actually not the case, and Ryan Hardy can still get hooked as well. So, no one's position is safe. And if Houghton starts dropping stinkers like he did against Sheffield Wednesday, arguably the entire team dropped a stinker, Cooper included. And I've been a huge fan of Cooper, but I thought he was very, very, not nervous, but I thought he just absolutely I thought they all stunk up the pace, to be honest. But yeah, any more stinkers like that, and Mandel might be knocking on the door. But I fully expect him to go Broom and Kamara in the centre of midfield as well. Simple, really. Brummer's been one of our best connections from midfield to attack, and Panucci's work rate is unquestionable. As I said, his final ball last week was absolutely atrocious, shocking. I could not believe my eyes. But his work rate is no one can ever question Panucci's work rate. It's always 110%. Always chasing the ball, always looking to win back possession, always looking to get on the front foot. Just unfortunately, a Zen product last weekend wasn't great. But this is the league. That was the FA Cup at 12:15 on a Sunday. I can't imagine I would be too, great at that time of morning, considering I'd definitely be asleep. But I don't think Panucci's working nights, so he shouldn't have that problem. And then up front, I expect him to go Ryan Hardy, and I expect him to put Kieran Agard in the team. Now, I was in and in between Kieran Agard and John Garrick. But I feel not that Agard is a like-for-like replacement for Jeffers, but do feel Garrick is more of that replacement for Hardy. Pace probably being the number one key factor there. But I expect Agard to come in, and from the times that Agard's come in, he's looked good. He's looked all right. So I expect Kieran Agard to go into the starting 11. But that's about it, guys. I'll give my score prediction now. Obviously, Ryan Lowe winning manager of the month, but I'm gonna stick to it, as dumb as I may now sound. Because manager of the month curse and all of that. I will continue to back them, but I'm not going to be as optimistic as I was on the EFL show last night, and I'm going to drop it down to a 2-0. Now, the reason it's a 2-0, the reason is that manager of the month curse. I am now shitting myself. I am petrified. Not only at Argyle, so high up in the league that I'm like, fuck me, I've never been this high before, and I'm scared of heights. I'm scared of heights, and we're that high. I'm like nauseous and dizzy, and basically feeling all of those emotions. Now we've got manager of the month to contend with it. So for fuck's sake, Rotherham fans are like, our manager should have won it, and I'm like, well, I would have loved that. I would have absolutely. Look, I've always said Ryan Lowe is the greatest manager in the world, better than Sir Alex Ferguson. He's the greatest manager of all time. Right, Ryan Lowe is the greatest manager of all time. Fergie, go get him a cup of coffee. He wants a drink. I've just realised I've absolutely. Oh, fans gonna kill me. Oh well, I'm sure they're tossing off Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. When I say tossing them off, I mean onto the motorway. But that's a different story for a different stream. United show on tonight. Or tomorrow. Recorded this. You know what I mean. But as I said, Ryan Lowe, best manager in the month of all time. I don't want it. I didn't want him winning it. I honestly didn't. I want him to win manager of the year. Right? When he is sitting top of the league and we've just been promoted to SkyBet Championship, then he can win manager of the year. Now, that is much better to me. That sounds good to me. This manager of the month bullshit, get that away from me. I don't want it. I don't want it near my club. Keep that away. Let's just hope that we can break that curse and get a win on Saturday. But it's not just that. You got to consistently do it, because you can have ups and downs, can't you? But it's one of them. But I'll be back later tonight or tomorrow. You know what I mean. Friday. I'll be back at 6 p.m. with the Chelsea show, 7 p.m. with qualifying for the Brazilian sprint race. So Chelsea show is going to be condensed to about 50 minutes. And then at 9 o'clock, finishing our Friday nights with the United show. This weekend, I have no idea what I'm doing. I know I've got to review this match at some point, probably Sunday. England are playing tomorrow. Not watching that shit. But yeah, apart from that, have a good weekend. I will continue to bring out some great content. Got some things in the pipeline. I've also been, during the couple of days that I had away, which has become more regular, I'm hoping to try and cut them out. I'm hoping to be able to get more of a consistent schedule for you. But I have been thinking of some ideas and some streams that might happen, during international breaks. They're solo streams, but you may like the idea of them. But I'm just thinking about logistical sense for it, how I'm gonna, set it up and organize it and do it more so. But luckily we haven't got another international break till March, so I should have time over the Christmas period, provided it's not too chaotic. Now I may do a stream on the new Norwich manager, whoever it may be, Dean Smith or Frank Lampard. We'll discuss that, obviously. Steven Gerrard going to Aston Villa. But that's about everything for today. Before you go, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you're new to the channel. And yeah, have a great weekend, guys, and I'll catch you in a bit. Peace out.